Hello everyone, you are welcome to the GMAETS 41's YouTube channel. In this video lesson, I'll be teaching you Iupac Nomenclature of Bicyclo and Alicyclic Hydrocarbons. If this is your first time of visiting the GMAETS 41's YouTube channel, please, I urge you to subscribe to this wonderful channel. And if you are revisiting the channel and yet to subscribe, once again, I encourage you to subscribe, turn on the notification bell so that once I upload any video lesson, you will be notified. Remember, from the GMAETS 41's YouTube channel, you learn wonderful concepts on mathematics, science, and engineering related subjects, both at secondary school level and at higher institution level. Not to forget, if you do wish to join our full range of learning classes on Telegram, below this video lesson, you have the link to our Telegram channel. Click on the link and you'll be guided on how to join our classes on Telegram for full range of learning. You can also choose to contact GMAETS 41 on the number showing on the screen. So let us get to business. Bicyclo, alicyclic hydrocarbons. We are referring to alicyclic hydrocarbons where we have two rings. Take note, not benzene ring. Cyclic hydrocarbons that contains benzene rings are referred to as aromatic hydrocarbons. Okay? And so, we will be starting with the rules, okay? Just certain rules that we follow when trying to give the Iupac nomenclature of bicyclo alicyclic hydrocarbons. And then, we would look at the Iupac nomenclature of some bicyclo compounds. So get ready, pick your pen, pick your books, and then put down some of these rules I'm going to mention because we'll follow them as we give the Iupac nomenclature of some bicyclo alicyclic compounds. Rule number one in giving the Iupac nomenclature of this compound I'm going to treat in this video lesson. Are you ready? You have to determine what we call the bridgehead carbons. Usually for bicyclo alicyclic hydrocarbons, the bridgehead carbons are usually two. And so we may ask the question, what are bridgehead carbons? Simply, carbons that join the two rings. You can take a look at this structure I have on the board. In this bicyclo alicyclic hydrocarbon, you take note that there are these two carbons that connects the two rings. Look at that, one on top and of course one under. These carbons are referred to as the bridgehead carbons. So the first rule is identifying these bridgehead carbons. Of course, the reason is because one of them will be taken as carbon number one. That is where your counting will start from. I hope you've taken that down, right? Identify or determine the bridgehead carbons. That's rule one. Rule number two. Start your counting from one of the bridgehead carbon and then move in the direction of the longest chain to the next bridgehead carbon. Start your counting from one of the bridgehead carbon. Count towards the direction of the longest chain to the next bridgehead carbon. What do we mean by that? Once you've identified the bridgehead carbon, start your counting from one of them. Go in the direction such that you will encounter more carbons before you get to the next bridgehead carbons. Don't worry, we're going to see that when we start analyzing the structure. Once you do this, rule number three, if you have any attachment, you're expected to identify the attachment. Is that okay? And then rule number four, trying to name this compound. What do? You start with bicyclo. In trying to name the parent chain, you start with what? Bicyclo. Then in parentheses, indicate the number of carbon atoms between the bridged carbons in descending order. After that, you now conclude with the name of this cycloalkane, as the case might be if you are dealing with cycloalkane. Of course, this video lesson will focus on cycloalkane, okay? Well, I've stated these rules, okay? This is just grammar. I believe once we deal with the structures and then I explain how we go about the structures following this rule, it will make more sense. It is now time. I am going to pick some structures and then we see how we give the Iupac nomenclature of this bicyclo aliphatic, that is alicyclic hydrocarbons. And here we go. We've got these two structures here on the back, bicyclo, alicyclic hydrocarbons. Let us find out how we can use, okay, the rules I gave to give the Iupac nomenclature of these structures we have on the board. The first one is this. So all we need to do is to determine what we call the bridgehead carbons, the two carbons that connect the ring. If you look at this is one ring and this is another ring. What are the two carbons that connected these rings? You see clearly that it is this one and this one. Let me show you something. One could simply draw this as, something, will I say, kite-like in shape. There's a quadrilateral having 4 carbon atoms, okay? Because of course there is no carbon there before getting to the next bridgehead carbon. There is no carbon between. Anyway, let's go straight on. So I can count 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you go this way, you still see that it's the same. Let's say 1, 2, 3, and 4. So either way you go, the same number of carbon atoms you have between them before getting to the next bridged carbon. There is no attachment in this structure. So we go straight on to give the Iupac nomenclature, starting with what? Bicyclo. So this structure is going to be bicyclo. Coming this way, how many carbons do we have before getting to the next bridged carbon? We have only 1 carbon in between, 1C. Then this way, how many carbons do we have before getting to the next bridged carbon? Again, 1 carbon. Internally, how many carbons do we have before getting to the next bridged carbon? There is no carbon, so let me just say 0 carbon. Is that okay? 0 carbon. Let me just put it here, 0 carbon. Does that make sense? There is no carbon internally before getting to the next bridged carbon. Therefore, this is going to be bicyclo 1, 1, 0. You must indicate the number of carbon atoms between the bridged carbons in all directions. Here there are 3 directions that link to the second bridged carbon. This is one of them, this is another one, and then this is the third one. You must indicate the number of carbon atoms between before getting to the next bridged carbon. And that is why we have 1, 1, 0. And remember I told you that you're going to arrange this number in descending order. Let us assume that maybe here there are 2 carbon atoms before you get to the third bridged carbon. Then of course it's going to be 2, 1, 0. The third structure, I guess, will do justice to that. So this is bicyclo 1, 1, 0. How many carbon atoms do we have in the parent chain? 4. And that is butane. This is the Iupac nomenclature of this structure. Alright, parentheses, square brackets. Let's move on to structure number 2 quickly. So once again, let us identify the bridged carbons. But if you look at this structure, it's still the same as something like this. Okay, because this is hexagonal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I hope you're saying that right. At this point, you have a carbon, a carbon, a carbon, a carbon. Alright, and each of them has CH2. Then of course we have this internal link. We have this internal link where of course we have a carbon here and then something like this. That's the structure. There are two rings. This is one of the rings, this is the second one. Now these two rings are linked by these two carbons, this and this. And so following rule 1, these two carbons are called the bridge-head carbons. Of course, that's what we have here. The bridge-head carbons. Is that okay? So I'm going to start from any one of them as carbon number 1. Okay, it's my choice. Let me start from this down 1 as carbon number 1. Even if you start from the one on top, you still get the same nomenclature if you follow the rule. Now, if this is carbon number 1, I am going to count in the longest direction that will take me to this next bridgehead carbon. The question would be, would I go this way or would I go this way? That depends on the number of carbons you have between the bridgehead carbons. And if you look at this, there are 2 carbons on the left side. If I am to go this way, that is clockwise. If I go this way, there are 2 carbons before the bridgehead carbon as well too. If you go inside internally, we have just 1 carbon. So you see, the direction of counting can either be this way or this way. Since on both sides you have 2 carbons before you locate the next bridgehead carbon, and hence the direction you will count in this case is your choice. But take note, you cannot start the counting this way. Alright? And you can see the reason clearly. So I would like to go anti-clockwise this time around. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Good. Having numbered these carbon atoms, and of course, you have to go in, and then this will become what? 7. There are 7 carbon atoms in all, in this case. Once you count the external carbons, if you have other ones inside, you need to move in and count that carbon as well too. It is part of the parent chain. What you have here is CH2. All the CH2 are part of the carbon atoms. If it's an attachment like methyl, you have CH3. Of course, you handle that as an attachment. Structure number 4 will teach you that in the next video. Is that okay? But of course, you can actually watch the video lesson from our Telegram channel for structure number 3 and 4. Having said that, I know already that this structure is heptane, okay? Heptane. Everything there is single bond, so it's an alkane, or cycloalkane. Now in this direction, how many carbon atoms do we have, before you get to the next bridgehead carbon? There are 2 carbons. How many do we have before you get to the next bridgehead carbon in this direction? Again, there are 2. Internally, how many carbons do you have before you get to the next bridgehead carbon if you are to go this way? We have only 1 carbon. That is, if you move inwardly, let me do this. We have just 1 carbon. So let me say 1C, okay? I'm doing all these things so that once I start arranging in descending order, after the bicycle in parentheses, you'll understand what I'm doing there. So what's the name of this compound? First, I know that the parent chain will be heptane. Because you have to start by saying bicyclo. Then you indicate the number of carbon atoms between the bridgehead carbon in all directions before you get to the next bridgehead carbon. So this is going to be bicyclo 2,2,1 heptane. That's the nomenclature. We are done with these 2 structures. That's how you handle the Iupac nomenclature of Bicyclo and Alicyclic hydrocarbons. Get ready as we move on to structure number 3 and 4. How do you learn that? You can contact to join our full range of learning classes. Below this video lesson, like I said, you've got the link to our Telegram channel, and right there you will learn more on how to join our classes. I hope to see you in our next video lesson class. Do have a wonderful time.